rock. And normally, when a song gets old, it dies. No one knows what it is anymore. For example, do you know the song The Push by Lewis Lindsay? Probably not. But what's remarkable is that you still hear classical music that was written hundreds of years ago. Why? Classical music is like a rich cake. It has multiple layers and a ton of interesting flavors inside. That's what I hope to show you today. And by the time I'm done, you will have sampled it all and will hopefully be able to better appreciate the rich depth of classical music. I will be dividing my discussion into 3 main points. 1, 4 periods of classical music. 2, character. And 3, composers' impact on the music. So first, 4 periods of classical music. The decadent cake that is classical music is generally separated into 4 basic layers. They are called the 4 major music periods. These are Baroque, classical, romantic, and contemporary. I will tell about what each one is and what kind of composers write this particular type of music. First, the Baroque period. Baroque music is often on a harpsichord, which sounds like this. This style of music usually has what's called polyphonic texture. It's basically having more than one main tune going on at once. One famous composer who wrote Baroque music was Johann Sebastian Bach. He's famous enough that hundreds of years later, they had a crater on Mercury named after him. This is one of his most well-known pieces. The second music period is the classical period. This style of music is never very dramatic in any way, and usually has a lot of repeating tunes and consistent harmony. One very famous composer who wrote classical music was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Why is that name so familiar? Mozart was hugely talented. At the age of 14, he went and listened to a 5-part choral piece once, then went home and wrote down each part accurately by memory. No one has ever or likely will ever come close to his genius musical abilities. This is one of his most famous pieces, Rondo alla Turca. Third, the Romantic period. Romantic music has nothing to do with love and romance, even though it's called romantic. This type of music is all about having all different sorts of emotions to the music. Composers of this period include Frédéric Chopin and Franz Liszt. This is a romantic piece, Nocturne in E-flat major by Chopin. The fourth and last period was the contemporary period. Contemporary music has a lot of dissonance and a lot of chords or transitions that you wouldn't naturally think would go there. It's like modern art. It seems kind of random, but it's actually well-planned, quality music. My favorite composer from this period was Sergei Prokofiev. This is what some of his music sounds like. Now, all I need to remember is that Baroque, classical, romantic, and contemporary are the 4 basic layers of our cake. And so point 2, character. All music ever written has something it's trying to say. When a composer writes a piece of music, he or she has some reason for writing it. Often, this is a certain emotion the composer is trying to capture, or a story they are trying to tell. This is the add-ins in our cake, like coconut, chocolate chips, walnuts, etc. And different people have different ways they interpret these add-ins. I will show you how I interpret Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. A sonata is a long piece, made up of 3 parts called movements. Even though the movements are very different, it's one piece. So let's start with the first movement. I want you to listen to what it sounds like for a moment. This piece is more than just sad. There's something that is being described here. This is mournfulness. If you just got called about your mother's death, this is how you feel. Then we got the second movement. This is completely different from the first movement. This is light and bouncy, like you don't have a care in the world. If your boss just gave you a big raise at work today, this is the emotion you would feel. Then we did the third movement. This is different from both the previous movements. This is anger. This movement is mad at something. If you just watch someone kill your best friend, this is the emotion you would feel. And so I hope you can see that there's more to music than just nice sounds. Pieces of music can convey a certain emotion or tell a story. And it's not just Moonlight Sonata. All good pieces of music are this way, with the exception of certain modern music. Pop music does not have this quality of feeling. Most modern pop is built on 4 basic chords. 1, 2, 3, and 4. With these 4 chords, you can sing almost any pop song. My life is brilliant, my love is pure, I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. Let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Can you feel the love tonight? As you can see, these are the same 4 chords over and over without changing. There's no way to make this tell any sort of a story. And so moving on to point 3, composers' impact on their music. The lives of composers drastically change what kind of music they write. This is the flavorings and extracts in our cake, like vanilla extract, lemon zest, etc. I will give a few examples. First, Sergei Prokofiev from the contemporary period. Prokofiev led a very sad life due to communism and its effects. And so he decided to escape the worries of the world through music. He sought to create his own sort of world at the piano, as you can see in this piece, Sonata No. 2 in D minor. It sounds sort of from a dream. Second, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart from the classical period. Mozart was always poor and going into debt, but he was also always happy because he loved the piano and what you can do with it. And so his music usually contains this sort of carefree feel to it, like this piece. The consistent left hand and the trills in the right hand give it this feel. And so our cake is made in 4 layers, the 4 periods of classical music. It's full of add-ins, which are the lives of the composers. The character of our music is the flavorings. The frosting on the cake is the way it is played. The performance is just as important as what's in the music itself. And so next time you hear classical music being played, see if you can figure out what it's trying to convey, and also try to enjoy it.